granniopteryx, granniopteryx. She knows the truth, she's linking every link.
Well, to the surprise of almost nobody, it turns out that this guy here, the one who looks like a pudding, who is the partner of this woman here, who is a Labour MP, he's been arrested for, well, on suspicion of spying for China. Now, there's one word that just occurred to me when I saw this article, and that was the word loyalty. All right, he hasn't been found guilty yet, so this is only a suspicion. And I wouldn't be so suspicious myself if it weren't for the fact that it appears that most of the Labour Party is spying for China. There is the Chagos deal, for instance. That is, Keir Starmer is going. I don't have a picture of it now. I'll bring up a picture of where the Chagos Islands are, one of the last holdings of what's left, of the remnants of the British Empire. And it just so happens it's right in the middle of the Indian Ocean and in a perfect position to head for the Middle East and Asia. And it's a sort of stopping place on the way over. Well, the Americans are quite certain of its strategic importance. They have a base there. Actually, I think it's two bases, isn't it? They have a set of warships parked there, and they also have an airfield. And let's face it, Keir Starmer refused to allow the Americans to use the airfield. I mean, it's leased from Britain, so America has to ask permission. And Britain, in the form of Keir Starmer, said, oh, no, you can't use this airfield to attack Iran from, even though Iran is a mutual enemy both of America and Britain, but not of China. And China gets most of its oil from Iran. So the more Iran is stopped from selling oil to China, the worse things are for China. Do you think that maybe Keir Starmer was, sort of running that through his mind when he refused the Americans permission to use it? Now, there's this article also in the Telegraph about Mauritius, which is the lucky recipient of the Chagos Islands. That is, Keir Starmer is going to hand the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, a place which has absolutely no connection whatsoever with Chagos. None of the Chagos Islands ever had any connection with Mauritius. And the odd thing is that Mauritius has a lot of connections with China. It says here, thousands of Mauritian officials have been travelling to China for specialised courses before the planned handover of the Chagos Islands. In case you don't know, not only is Britain giving the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, it is also giving Mauritius money to take the Chagos Islands. This is very typically socialist. They don't understand commerce, you see. So let's break this down into very simple language, because there may be a socialist watching this. There are two ways whereby you can transfer property from one person to another. You can either give it or you can sell it. Right. Now, selling is when you give the property to the other person and then the other person gives you something in return. Usually money. It might be something else. It might be a commodity like oil, for instance, or whatever. And then there's just giving. When you give something to somebody, you just hand it to them and you say, "You're welcome." And they say, "Thank you very much." And there is no mutual trading going on. The other person doesn't give you anything in return. That's because it's a gift. It's not a sale. All right, now, is that clear? Now, what the British government under Keir Starmer is planning on doing is giving the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, a country that never had anything to do with Chagos before in any way at any period in the history of the world. And then Britain is going to give to Mauritius money so that they will accept the gift of the Chagos Islands. Now, most of the people watching this video might think, hang on a minute, there's something wrong there. What's wrong is that Britain is being impoverished twice. It's losing the advantage of the Chagos Islands, and it is losing millions. I've forgotten how many millions. It is tens of millions of pounds sterling. Not that they're going to be worth that much in a few years if the Labour Party carries on the way it is. But anyway, tens of millions of British pounds sterling are going to Mauritius so that they take the Chagos Islands. And Mauritius is then, we all know this, going to turn over the Chagos Islands to China. We know that. It's obvious. Mauritius and China already have very strong links. So what Starmer is doing is giving the Chagos Islands to the Mauritians, who will give it to the Chinese. He will pay the Mauritians to do that, and then the Mauritians will set up the Chinese in the other islands directly opposite where the Americans are at the moment, leasing Diego Garcia, one of the Chagos Islands. Again, you might wonder if Keir Starmer is actually working for the Chinese. And that's why when the police arrested this pudding for possibly spying for China, I don't know, I can't accuse him directly, but it does seem to ring true. As they say, the police don't arrest people working for the left. They only arrest, say, wives of Conservative councillors, for instance, but not partners of Labour Party MPs. And this is a man who potentially is not only not being loyal to his country, but he's not being loyal to his partner either. She's not his wife. He hasn't bothered to marry her. Maybe he's done her a favour there. David Taylor, the partner of Joni Reid, was detained under the National Security Act. He's the head of programmes at Asia House think tank, which promotes engagement between Asia and Europe. So, you see, he likes engagement, but obviously not marriage, in any sense of the word. He's also understood to have worked for energy companies as a lobbyist and as a government special advisor with the Wales office. So he's had plenty of input into British policy. And Miss Reid sits on the Commons Home Affairs Committee. Just a minute, I'm going to cough. So she will know stuff that should not be given out so easily, even to the British public, let alone to a foreign government. And it looks very much like that's what's happened here. Right, well, that's it. Mr. Pudding here, possibly a Labour Party member, I don't know, but certainly sympathetic to them, a partner of somebody he can't even be bothered to marry, and the word loyalty comes up in more or less the negative sense. But then He's in a group of people who seem far more interested in furthering the political ambitions of foreign countries, far more than they are interested in looking after the British people they're supposed to be taking care of. Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.